more creators are making a real living. Right? There are a lot more people being successful that way. So that is fantastic. A lot more tourist boards and brands understanding the value and really wanting to work with them.
Meet Palle Bo, a digital nomad from Denmark on an epic journey around the world.
In this episode, we'll take a small break from the regular travel podcast and bring you another interview with an interesting person in the travel media industry. If you're interested in the nomadic lifestyle and thinking of becoming a travel blogger, travel YouTuber, or travel podcaster, you might want to stick around. This is the Radiovagabond podcast. And Rick, you're the head honcho of this game.
Grand poobah, as we like to call it.
Yeah. How long time have you been with TBEX? Because it wasn't from the very, very beginning, as far as I understand.
Right. Yeah, since 2012 is when we bought TBEX. Kim Mance was the founder in 2009. I actually started another event before that called Blog World in 2007.
Yeah.
So, I've been actively involved in blogs since 2000.
Yeah.
With travel blogs since 2007, and with TBEX since 2012.
Yeah. What's your background? How did you get into the whole game of travel blogging?
So I was a conference organizer was my job. I've done really, really big events, like 100,000 people.
Oh.
Used to work for a place you may have heard of called Comic-Con. And I was a political blogger. I started a blog about politics. And this was, again, very early days. There wasn't a lot of people doing that. And I wanted to go to a blogging show, and it didn't exist. And so I started doing the research, and I'm like, oh, well, people would go to that. And created what we call Blog World. But we knew from the very beginning, we identified these different segments that would be really important.
Yeah.
And political blogs was one of them. Travel blogs was one of them. And so we had a track for travel at Blog World, but Kim had started TBEX, and she's a travel blogger. So all the travel bloggers were going to TBEX.
Yeah.
And in 2012, it was Gary Arndt that told me, you should talk to Kim. I think Kim wants to sell TBEX, and that's when we got involved.
Oh.
Yeah.
And the recent years, a few other similar or somewhat similar conferences have popped up.
Imitators, we call them.
Imitators.
Yeah.
Do you see them as competitors or just extra angles on what?
Well, there's no other event that's the size of TBEX, that has the history of TBEX, that has the breadth of education as TBEX. So no, in that way, no.
No.
Of course, there's always competition. You can only take so many trips a year. You've only got so much time. So yes, that's competition. Yeah. But we're friends pretty much with all those people. We know them.
Yeah.
A lot of them got their start at TBEX.
I didn't get the memo of you can only do so many a year. I think I'm doing 4 this year, plus the two nomadic cruises.
There you go.
Yeah. I'm going all in this year. I don't know exactly how that happened.
Yeah, very good.
But for people who have never been to a TBEX, can you describe what goes on? It takes place in 2 days.
Yeah, so the conference is 2 days. It's education. We have breakout sessions, some keynotes, like today with Corey Lee was incredible, inspiration.
Total inspiration.
Yeah. And then there's speed networking, where there's business meetings between the bloggers and the DMOs and the brands. And very short, 8 minutes, sit down. Who are you? What do you do? Do we have a good fit? Yes, great. Let's talk later. No, nice to meet you. See you later. So you're not wasting time. And then there's trips that happen before the conference that the tourist board organizes. There's trips that happen after the conference that the tourist board organizes, and then people apply to go on those different trips. So people are the average stay for a TBEX attendee in a destination is 10 days for the 2-day conference.
Yeah.
And obviously a lot of people do stuff on their own. So like maybe you were planning a trip to New York already, said I'm coming there for TBEX and I'll go to Niagara Falls while I'm there, or whatever else people may do.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And there's around, as far as I know, 700.
650. I think the number
is that the biggest?
No, it's the biggest in North America in a couple of years now. We're sold out. We couldn't have any more people here. You can see how busy it is.
Yeah.
Toronto was the biggest ever. That was 1,200. But that was a bunch of Canadians, right? Because we were in a really big city, and that was like right when everybody just went TBEX crazy that year too. But everybody said it was too big. Yeah. So we've never wanted it to be that big again. We like this size. 650 is a good size.
I remember my very first TBEX, my very first travel bloggers conference was in Stockholm, a week into my travel, and I thought, oh my God, I'm with my people.
I remember.
Yeah, and since then I've been traveling full time, and now I'm one of the old guys here. And,
That's right. You're one of the podcasting grandfathers of travel podcasting.
Yeah. This episode is brought to you in part by Hotels25.com. It's a website that helps you find the best prices on hotels around the world. Hotels25.com, it's best price guarantee. How do you see the whole industry evolving from where we were like 5 years ago, and where are we going?
Well, the first thing is that more creators are making a real living.
Yeah.
Right? There are a lot more people being successful that way. So that is fantastic. A lot more tourist boards and brands understanding the value and really wanting to work with them. By the same token, there's more new people all the time, who are inexperienced and really don't know what to do. And we help teach them. And obviously that's a big challenge for tourist boards to figure out who are the right people to work with. Even if a blogger is new, it doesn't mean they're not good, right? And so how do you determine this person has good content, and then that content is a good fit for my brand? And again, that's kind of what we teach people here. It's not always the biggest numbers that are most important thing, right?
Mike Hockley said that as well in the panel debate, and he was actually on one of the episodes I did in the TBEX Ostrava, and talking about the whole thing that you should put a price and you should sell yourself. You shouldn't just take a free trip, even though you only have maybe 5,000 visits a month on your site.
And so again, Mike is one of those people pushing that direction, is just for professionalism in the space. And I would say as a whole that travel bloggers are far more professional than they were 5 years ago. And that will continue to happen. And the travel brands have a more of a system of measuring, who do I work with and how do I measure it was a good deal for us in the end. Yeah. So I think that professionalism on both sides is continuing to improve. Yeah.
This is the Radio Vagabond podcast.
And I can take anything you can throw at me, and nothing can get me down. Life is looking so bright, the sun is up again. I'm feeling like I could fly. No clouds in my way, no. And I'm living the good life. And I'm living the good life now. I'm living the good life, and nothing can get me down, no.
You get to travel a lot for these events as well, but you're not a travel blogger. But I'm curious to know, where are you going next year?
Everybody wants to know, and we'll tell you.
I remember actually we in Ostrava in the Czech Republic, we shared a taxi, and I was pushing you, and you said it was very close to being published, and I still don't know where we're going.
It's still very close for Europe. We are going to announce North America tomorrow.
Okay.
So yeah, and Europe. Any day. And I'll tell you, this is a country where they like to do things slowly. So that's why it hasn't been announced yet.
It's a place where they say mañana.
It's not Spain, I can tell you. It's not Spain.
Okay.
Although we love Spain in particular, we love Costa Brava and Catalonia. Jama's a dear friend to us and one of the best in the business when it comes to working with bloggers.
But we also like Greece.
Love Greece. Oh my goodness!
I can't get you.
Greece is amazing. We love Ireland.
But you always.
It's a country. I'll tell you this. It's a country we haven't been to yet. It's a country in Western Europe. So there's a couple of tips.
Okay. Interesting. But it's already been announced that we are going to Zimbabwe sometime next year.
Yes. So again, there's a conference going on in Zimbabwe right now while we're here. So they had a government change, a coup, basically. Then an election, which went well as you could expect, I think. But we're actually dealing with a private group in Zimbabwe called Rise Zimbabwe, not the government. Okay. This is a collection of hotel owners and tour operators who do business in Africa that are working out the logistics of hosting TBEX.
Rick, it's always a pleasure.
Thank you, Palle. It's great to be with you.
Next Monday, there will be another episode from North Carolina where I attend the Greensboro Pride and speak to a transgender woman and meet a guy with a cross trying to preach that being gay is a sin.
You're responsible for what you do. That's not true.
I'm gay and proud.
All this and much more next Monday. And in a week from now, next Friday, you'll get another interview with a guy in the travel media industry. His name is Shane Dallas and calls himself the Travel Camel. He's the conference director of TBEX Europe and actually the guy that booked me to speak about travel podcasting at the conference in Ostrava, Czech Republic, not that long ago. Do you have an ambition to do them all?
No, it doesn't interest me. There's some places I think have limited appeal to me. If someone said, okay, we'll pay you to go to every place, I'll probably do it. But honestly, I think I'm a slow traveller, and the amount of time I'd want to spend in each destination would mean I'd be travelling for the rest of my life. And as much as I love travel, you've got to stop at some stage.
My name is Palle Bo. See ya.